Good afternoon. It's great to see you today. I guess I should say good morning if you're on the West Coast. Also like to welcome those that are seeing this through the video and the recording as opposed to live. I'm going to talk to you today about low-hanging fruit. And in this particular case, we're actually going to be plugging a drain of financial resources flowing out of your organization. First of all, I would like to acknowledge those of you that are here because you should be CEOs, business owners, and folks that have been around for a while, and that you all have centuries of combined experience, if I was to consider everybody here. The wisdom in this room or on this webinar cannot be obtained by reading a textbook. One thing I've learned about leading people, I've been at the business for 45 years, lots of it comes from experience. So reading a textbook doesn't cover it all. The intentional or by chance mentoring you've all provided is priceless. Perhaps it was for a formal gathering, but also how about those times when you enlighten somebody over coffee? These are all important events. So congratulations on all of your combined contributions over the years. You have benefited many people. My name is Steve Turner. I was in the corporate world for 35 years, 34 on the management team of UPS. I loved it. It was a great organization. In the entrepreneurial side of life, we have two businesses. One's called legginggirl.com. It's for people who like leggings. And secondly, the sponsor of this event, Flow Business Solution, where we are business coaches and we focus on employee leadership. And you're going to see the focus on that shortly as we get into this presentation today. But I'm glad you're all here. Keep notes of any questions you have at the end. I'll take some time to take them if I haven't run out of my time. So, now, CEOs and business owners have a tremendous amount of responsibility, and they also have enlightening opportunities, both sides of the coin. I'm going to run through a list of responsibilities of CEOs and business owners, and I have to say that part of this list comes from a corporate chaplain, sorry, a corporate chaplain that I knew who has spent many years helping CEOs and coaching them. And so some of the things on this list came from him and what he had learned in his engagement with CEOs. There's the obvious bottom line profitability and revenue growth. We are concerned, of course, on increases in business value, return on investment, debt reduction over time, dividend growth, employee engagement, employee attitudes. And a question I like to ask people is how many leaders do you have on your management team? Because the one does not assume the other. Are we living up to our vision statement and our mission statement? How about our organizational culture? How about our community involvement? Are we who we say we are? The fear of failure. How does the fear of failure enter into your life? How about the impact on your family, specifically of the fear of failure side? How about your impact on your inner circles? Now, inner circles, I'm not going to dive into this one today, but just let me tell you, inner circles are people that report to you directly or are directly involved in your lives. So your family is a member of one of your inner circles. They're always there. You can't turn them on or turn them off. Friends that are with you through thick and thin are another one. And the last one, which I'm really focusing on today, the people that report to you. The people that report to you on a day-to-day basis are one of your inner circles, and you have tremendous influences on them. How about impact on your share owners, stakeholders? The list could go on. Of all the items that were in this list, which of these items can generate low-hanging fruit as soon as addressed in the correct manner? Which one of the items on the list that if it was corrected or enhanced would impact every other item on the list? Think about that. Sometimes when we have issues, we take them on by covering up a symptom. And one of those things I'm going to talk about today is employee engagement. And many times we look at employee engagement and we find something to make them feel good. I'll talk about that a little bit later. And this is what I mean about a symptom. Here's an example. We can do this with employees and our employee relationships. We have a slow leak in a tire, and you can address it by adding more air. It looks good in the beginning, but the solution does not hold air. We really need a new tire. So when we're covering up a symptom, it's like adding air to a leaky tire. If we take care of the root cause, it's a new tire. And sometimes we can see more than one leaking tire. In fact, how about this? We often see many leaking tires as if we're looking at an 18-wheeler in our organization. Do we have many leaking tires? So we need to solve the root cause with new tires. And it doesn't last forever, right? Sooner or later, the tire's going to be replaced again. But there's no air leaking out of it any longer. So new tires sets us up for continuing forward. So solving the root cause generates low-hanging fruit. That's the purpose today is I want to talk to you about solving the root cause of the reason we have access to low-hanging fruit. There has been a topic that has received plenty of ink and airtime over the years. You'll recognize it. It's too bad that it's still an issue. And I say it's too bad. The Gallup organization has been reporting on this for 34 years, and the result is still the same. Pluses and minuses over the years, but for the most part, it's a flat issue. And it's an important one. It needs to be a top priority or will never go away. In other words, instead of throwing band-aids on this thing every single year, let's get to the root cause because you will experience low-hanging fruit. We need to plug the drain. So here we have a situation of low-hanging fruit coming as a result of plugging the drain of expenses flowing out of the organization for the wrong reasons. Low employee engagement is the issue that we're looking at here. Low employee engagement impacts every other item on the list that we went through the list of responsibilities because employees are involved in everything. There isn't anything on your list that doesn't involve people. Low employee engagement steals $8.8 trillion globally from businesses every year. That's nuts. Impacting business bottom line for almost 175 years in the USA. And why do I say 175 years? It goes all the way back to an event that started in 1850 that has contributed tremendously to this country, the Industrial Revolution. But when I look at it, and we're not going to dig deep in that direction today, but I look at 175 years, I think that's long enough. I think it's time we fix the issue, the root cause. Oxford defines low-hanging fruit as a thing or person that can be won, obtained, or persuaded with little effort. With little effort. Now, if I told you that within 90 days, this low-hanging fruit could be experienced, how does that sound in comparison to 175 years of losing in the business community in this country? I'm serious about this. In fact, came out of UPS and went into the coaching world. Of course, I knew UPS, from every direction. I didn't know that much about the rest of the business world, so I had to find out. So in this study that was done, one of the statistics that came out of it was that 65% of people would rather be working for somebody else. That's sad. And for that to be going on for 175 years, let's take 90 days and get rid of it. So employee resignations cost US businesses 630 billion in 2020, according to Work Institute. But let's break down these numbers into easier to grasp stats. The average turnover rate in the US is 9.3%, and I think that's a little on the slim side. Depending on where you look up this number, you can get the number to range any place from 9.3 up to 15, 20. And but I can tell you from experience, 9.3 is ridiculous. Retirees, which is a planned event, and those who want to move on to better themselves, the percentage may hit 4% between the two. Retirees are about 2.2%, and 1.8% or so of those who want to better themselves. And I describe it as a positive event because if you have somebody on your team who is looking to move into something else for their benefit, and you don't have the ability to provide that need for them any longer, I don't like losing those people either because they're aces while you have them. But that's a good reason for losing somebody. What about the other 5.3%? Those should still be with you. The average salary in the US is $54,000. Here's some more numbers to throw at here. The average number of months' salary required to fully train a replacement is 6 to 9 months. We use 7.5 for our analysis. Consequently, it costs an average of $33,750 to replace an employee, considering all the factors. Now, for an organization that has a 9.3% turnover rate, they're going to spend, with 100 employees, $314,000 per year replacing people. Of 1,000 people, $3,140,000 per year. Would you like to think of the number that UPS would experience? They have 500,000 employees. So take that number, take it times 500, and you have a lot. However, let's go all the way to the other end. What if you're a small business? You only have 10 people. How many times do you want to spend $34,000 needlessly replacing somebody you should never have lost in the first place? So cutting the rate by 50%, whatever your turnover rate might be, and it varies by industry. It's not all 9.3. Some are higher. Sales groups tend to be higher. But if you could take and cut the rate you are experiencing by 50%, when the main cause of negative turnover is removed, and this is it, employees resisting and leaving managers instead of employees following leaders. Employees resisting, getting discontented, basically, and leaving managers instead of following leaders. And people, including you and I, are more than willing to follow a good leader. Managers have a tendency to, manage instead of lead. And employees, I had a conversation one day with a lady, and I was going through talking about what we do, and she said this statement to me. In fact, I thought it was so great. I asked her, "Can I use this?" And she said, "Sure." She says, "So are you telling me that I follow my leaders, but I obey my managers?" That's pretty accurate. Systems, processes, and procedures should be managed. People should be led, period. So the new tires are creating leaders out of existing managers and training new leaders going forward to support business growth. That's a new tire. Making leaders out of existing managers and train new ones going forward. Now let's talk a little bit about employee turnover cost and understanding of knowing what the number is. This can be hidden. Employee turnover cost is not a line item on your income statement. You can't find it. It's not there. The cost for me, for you, needs to be developed considering common and unique impacts in your business. I'll give you an example of, 3 of the big ones that are always there. Number one, resignations are not planned events. Now, one could say, well, somebody gives me 2 weeks notice, I get 2 weeks notice. Well, my experience has been pay them the 2 weeks and let them leave because they're leaving for the wrong reason. So you have lost productivity. Let's say you have an organization that makes 100 widgets an hour and you lose somebody. Now you got to make up the 100 widgets an hour by people that don't know the work. I mean, you're not going to get the 100 widgets an hour. You might get 60 at the beginning. And on top of that, you're going to pay premium payroll for those people that are providing the replacement hours. Unless you have people sitting on the bench waiting for somebody to quit, it's replacement hours. And these are at overtime because there's no place else to get it. And then, of course, you've got the hiring costs that come next. So if we take a look at what we're dealing with here, we have the initial employee training costs, right? Everybody getting a loss of experience and a loss of knowledge, loss of promotion from within. If you want to promote from within, you need to keep your people. UPS was a great promotion from within organization, and they had deeply educated and experienced leadership people. Anybody can do it. So employees live in one of two environments. Either they're resisting managers or they're following leaders, one or the other. The second one is a whole lot more profitable for everybody. Let's say we are resisting managers. And as I walk through this, I'm giving it to you from the view of the employee at this point. But we're all employees, right? Even a CEO reports to the chairman of the board. So we're all employees. So this can all relate to us as well. So resisting that is frustrating. And it causes employees to enter a survival over only mentality. Employee engagement drops to the current level in the United States, average 33%. 33% of people are engaged in their work. All right. Resignations rise is inevitable. When employees leave, they're fleeing their managers, not the company. It's important to understand this. People flee their managers. So employees forced to obey managers instead of being able to follow leaders is the root cause of low employee engagement. It's the root cause. Everything else are band-aids. Now, there's different pieces to the puzzle, but it's a response to what the manager is doing. We need to follow leaders. So we transform managers into leaders. We will solve the root cause of low employee engagement. The root cause. So let's stop the bleeding. Create a team of leaders instead of managers. When actions are taken to build a team of inspiring leaders and employees are aware of it, this is important here. And this is why I say the low-hanging fruit is a plugging of the drain, and you can easily get it in 90 days. Okay? The drain of employee resignations will be plugged, and the cost of resignations will stop even before the managers make the transition. Okay? So the employee resignations will stop or reduce tremendously if the employees know there's an attempt to make a transition. And that can be covered with employees in numerous different ways. But the point is, people don't really like quitting jobs. Changing jobs is very stressful. When they, the employees, notice a change is coming, they will give the up and coming leaders a chance. I've seen it. People willingly follow good leaders. They would love their manager to be somebody they would like to lead or like to follow. Resignation costs will drop quickly, and the financial results will drop to the bottom line immediately. Because we know when a cost is stopped, it's immediate bottom line benefit, right? Low hanging fruit. Stop the drain of employee resignations to get low-hanging fruit. Now, here's something else to think about. The hidden cost of resignations, which will also stop instantly because of plugging the drain. The hidden cost. I mentioned before, resignations are unplanned events. The cost of resignation draws resources from previously identified desirable uses. Think about that for a second. It's an unplanned event. Money's flowing over here. All of a sudden, somebody quits. Now money has to come from here over here to fill the need of bring on a new person. All right, let's keep going. Thus, the expected benefits are lost from the desirable use, and now we fall into opportunity cost. An opportunity cost is the lost benefits due to an alternative choice, or in this case, alternative use, because in this case, it's not by choice. So opportunity cost is losing the benefit of an alternative choice of money. In this case, we're taking the money back out of the desirable option and giving it to the need to fill an employee's job. Okay? So the low-hanging fruit is the saved resignation cost. And this can be realized with 3 months of effort and continually thereafter. And why do I say continually? For every employee that is not lost, the savings are realized again because you didn't lose the money of having to replace them. So you keep the benefits of the better use of company funds in your long-term planning, perhaps strategy. When employees are following good leaders, employees have high engagement levels. I think 70%. I said 70%. It's at least that. Resignations drop almost instantly. Okay, now the next benefit is the icing on the cake, and it will naturally appear because of the nature of people. So, what flavor would you like your icing on the cake to be? But it has to come following the low-hanging fruit. Let's go into it. The process of creating successful leaders comes from leading successful employees, right? A leader is not successful in and of themselves. We are only as successful as the people that are following, because it's all the people that are generating and working on what is being done in the organization. So leaders are only as strong and successful as those who report to them. In fact, you can also look at it from the chain is only as good as the weakest link, right? So we need everybody. One of the keys is helping employees reach personal goals as well as developing them as excellent employees for the company. Is this doing two things at once? Absolutely not. It becomes a collaboration of focus within the individual employee. They are working both of these at the same time. It's not personal, business, personal, but no, it's together. Move forward. There's details behind all this. I'm just giving you the top level here. When individuals have opportunities, especially ones they had a part in creating, they will likely enter the nothing can stop me now zone. The sky is the limit. Can you imagine if most of the employees who reported to your leadership team had that mindset? Think about it. Your leaders would be more successful and your business would flourish. There's no question about this. Put yourself in their shoes. How would you react? As I said before, if you find it challenging to accept perhaps, a bullet point here or there, put yourself in the shoes of the employee and ask yourself, how would I react? It's a great test. As people learn new things, they continue to grow. Is that true? As people learn new things, they keep learning new things, right? It's like kids when they grow up, right? The 2-year-old toddler doesn't do the same thing the 3-year-old does, right? The 3-year-old's advanced. They learn new things and they grow. Whoever is connected to these people also benefit. So it's not just the person, but whoever's connected to them also grows because of relationships. So let me throw you a question for now and a challenge for later. When you go home at night and you walk in your front door and your significant other asks you a question, how was your day, dear? Do you like your response? It will be positive when you experience what I've described in the previous slides. Negative answers tend to result in throwing up on your family and ruining the evening. We all have had those days, so we know what happens. But positive answers allow you to talk about the great things your children are doing and what is happening with your friends. And I can just tell you, it's a whole lot more fun to be able to have that break when we go home at night. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about God and how he creates people. All right. Regardless, forget whatever religion you're in or spiritual persuasion, it's the message that I want to give you wherever yours comes from. Okay. We people were all created to be creators, what God created. So God created everything. We take what he created and create things. We've been doing it for generations after generations after generations. He gave us all that we need to be able to do that. So the ability is there. The rest really becomes up to us. I want to digress a second and talk about this a little bit, the high level. I want to talk to you about where this comes from. So in Genesis 1, 24 and 25, God created all the animals that roam the earth, birds that fly in the air, fish that swim in the sea. He specifically identified them in verse 25. Verse 26, it says that God said, let us make man in our image and after our likeness, and let them rule over. And the whole list was given again. The list from verse 25 is defined in verse 26 as man to rule over. Let's go to verse 27. God made man. In the image of God, he created them, male and female, he created them. Okay? So the whole creation statement is right there in one verse. But the most important verse, though you need the ones leading up to it, is what's verse 28. Verse 28 says this: God blessed them. That means God gave us all of the personality, all of the skills that we need at the beginning. Were they developed? No. No more than a kid can walk coming out of the womb, right? You learn things. We learn the things that have been given to us. So he blessed us with those. And then he said this: be fruitful and multiply. We have the making babies part down. But the fruitful means do something with your life with the skills and the abilities that I gave you. That's what God said. Let them subdue the earth and let them rule over. And it gets the whole list again listed there. In that case, the word rule means take dominion. Okay? Now, here's the point I want to make. After all that, man is not in the list. Man was never designed to rule or have dominion over man. He was designed to use the other definition of rule. You find it in Romans 13, verse 3. Ruler is referenced. If you look at the meaning of the word ruler, it means leader. It does not mean dominion. All right. Coming back to this, the rest is up to us. We have a relationship with other people. Not the 2x4 approach, relationships. That does not take away from accountability for responsibilities. It's how you execute is the question. All right, let's get back to this. The rest is up to us. We provide opportunities for others to shine when we develop people, to bring out the best in them. It will shine a great light on your leadership. And what you will experience is the way we were designed to live, which goes back to Genesis 1:28. We were designed to live in their relationships. There's a whole lot more to talk about in those verses. We'll let it go for now. It's like icing on the cake. So the icing on the cake that comes as a result of creating leaders out of managers, where at the beginning you get the low-hanging fruit, which is stopping the drain of resignation cost. When that happens, and you're in that process of leadership, this happens. And let's talk about the this. Here we go. We train employees to follow procedures that fulfill our business objectives because there needs to be consistency in operations. Nobody's going to argue with that, right? Everyone follows the same set of procedures as it pertains to them. So there are multiple people doing the same thing to one extent or another, right? It could be everybody. The first group I led at UPS were all people that unloaded trailers, and they all did the same thing. They unloaded packages out of trailers. Or you can have combinations. But they would appear to be the same at that point. Yet, despite the similarity in following the same procedure in our job, we all have different personal lives. Let's keep going here. So, the combination of the similarity of the one, business procedures, and the uniqueness of the other, personality, creates different life adventures in everyone, thus differences in people. So it's one of the reasons why you can't take somebody, like in my case, when I first got started at UPS, I had probably 15 people unloading trailers. Despite the fact that they were all unloading trailers, they're still all individuals and they have differences. And we need to recognize the fact that there are differences and the differences are there. We are not all the same, even with the similar procedures. We as leaders need to recognize the differences. Too many management people, and I use the word management people here because that's what they were, as opposed to leadership people, have followed the adage, leave your personal life at home. Managers tend to not want employees' personal lives impacting their everyone following the same procedures, expectation of results. It's impossible for them, just like it's impossible for us. We can't do that. I remember when I went into management, my first day, the district manager in Wisconsin, where I started, told me, he said, you'll never leave your job in the office, which is okay with me. That was fine. We can't expect our people to leave their personal lives in the house. It all comes together, right? Leaders who understand and respect that there are the dynamics of the unique being combined with the dynamics of the similar will draw out the best in their employees because the employees will know that they can exist as themselves rather than existing as a make-believe robot. Leaders who understand the difference, that everybody has two parts, business, personal life, come together, it's still the same person, right? But our employees don't have to fear that they become leaders as well. Without creating the low-hanging fruit atmosphere, this employee best icing on the cake will never be experienced. It's two steps and they come in that order. You won't get the second one without the first one. If you think you're going to get the second one, it's going to be for a flash in a moment. All right. Long term, the low-hanging fruit that comes from creating leaders out of managers stops the resignation drain, allows the next thing to come into play. The one is an inevitable result of the other. This environment will increase your leaders' impacts on their employees, and everyone will reap the benefits. Everyone. Remember, everybody's an employee as well, right? It's not just simply those that are in the non-management team. Everybody in the organization is the management team that are leaders, but they're also employees because they report to somebody, right? This goes back and forth, both directions. So we honor employees by recognizing and leaving room for their differences while at the same time expecting them to generate business success, both at the same time. Employees will respect that. They know they've been hired to do something, and it would be an insult to them if we didn't expect great things from them. How would you like it if someone came up to you and said, I don't expect anything from you? That's not very inspiring. We need to expect them to do the job and they'll do it. Let's lead them instead of demand. Elevate your employees' performance because they will not have to worry about what others would call a conflict. Uniqueness releases character. Can you imagine if everyone lived up to their potential? None of us can guarantee that, but we can create an environment that increases the odds of it happening. It's part of the leadership role. The process of turning this loose in your organization is very doable. 90 days, remember? And this is not pie in the sky thinking by any means. I've been there many times. So the engagement level of the employees lifts the entire organization because of the influence it has on others from their own work areas. It influences out. It's a reflection of the whole being greater than the sum of the parts. Let me take a moment to share a testimony with you. In one of my corporate tour stops, I took over an office that was a finance office in the region, operating region that I was working in at UPS at the time. And this office was at the bottom of the heap when it comes to performance. Nobody had been promoted from this office in 7 years. It wasn't a desirable place to be. So I had my opportunity. I went there without, I'm going to go through all the details, but I went up there, and in 2 years, we got up to the elite status of the organization because all we did was release the potential of the people that were in the group. We have a national audit every year that comes in and takes a look. Outside people come in and take a look at what we do, and we get a ranking, a grade on it. That happened to me. I was actually on special assignment for 3 months to the corporate office. Our audit happened while I was gone. I wasn't that concerned about it. I mean, I look at it this way: audits are a chance to look good, not to fear. So the audit came in, took 2 weeks, the tail end, it was done. I was on my way home from the corporate office. So I knew the result of the audit. I walked into the office, into the building, got in the elevator, went up to the office. I opened the elevator door, and there was a banner on the wall. It said this: what is the most important word in the banner? Not that we had broken 90%. We. We. That's the attitude that we need to create. Leaders create we environments. Managers do not. So It was a great night. You can open the door to the same benefits by making the decision to go after the low-hanging fruit. The icing on the cake inevitably follows as it generates more fruit. The abilities of individuals usually outpace the performance of individuals. Let me say it again. The abilities of individuals usually outpace the performance of individuals. It doesn't have to be for you. Why? Because of limited or no opportunities. Develop your managers into leaders and release their potential as well as the potential of their employees. It's real and attainable. Go for it. I hope you got something out of this presentation today. You can tell I enjoyed giving it. People are important. If you'd like to hear more, we're more than happy to help you talk about this. You can have a quick chat and a conversation if you want. You can call me at this number, find me at this email address, or you can click my QR code here, and you'll get other connection opportunities and websites, etc. So I'm glad you're here. I hope you got something out of it. And you'll be able to go back and look at this video when I get it on YouTube in a short time. So thank you for being here and have a great day.